Today we're going to show you how to change the front air duct assembly on your dryer, and it's a really easy job. All we're going to need is a Phillips screwdriver and a pair of needle nose pliers. Let me show you how we do it. Now before we begin this repair, because we will be working near some electrical circuits, we'll want to disconnect the power. So if it's a plug-in style dryer, simply pull the plug, and if it's a hardwired dryer, you'll need to locate your electrical panel and disconnect the power at that source. Now next we'll open the dryer door, and we're going to remove two Phillips screws that go up through the top of the front panel into the main top. Now next we'll lift up the front of that main top and just kind of pull it forward while rotating it to disengage it from the back panel. There are three slotted openings in that top panel that engage three tabs on the console, and as well the bottom of the top panel has to hook under that support brace at the back. So we'll set that aside. Next we're going to remove two Phillips screws that secure the front panel to the cabinet, and they're located just inside near the top. Now we'll carefully tilt that front panel towards us while lifting up on the drum. And then we'll lift up on the whole front panel assembly to disengage it from two mounting tabs at the bottom. Now next we'll need to disconnect the wire harness to the door switch and light assembly. Now next we'll need to disconnect the wire harness to the door switch assembly, so very carefully pivot the front panel around, locate the assembly, and then with our needle nose pliers we can remove two wires that are going to that switch, and then one has an inline connector on it. We'll simply pull that apart. And now we can take that front panel and set it aside where we can work on it to remove the lower air inlet assembly. Now with our front panel and door assembly on a suitable work surface, we can remove this air inlet duct assembly. And it's basically a friction fit in around the metal opening of the door. So with it laying flat, we'll just take the outlet portion of it, get your hands in underneath that, just pry up gently. Disengage the cover plate around the switch. There's a little tab that slides into a slot on the edge of the front panel. And we're just going to work that out all the way around the bottom of the door opening and up each side. There's a couple of tabs close to the top there that protrude in under the flanged edge of that front panel. So we'll take caution in pulling those out. So once we've disengaged most of it, just pull it back enough that you can disengage both of those sides. And then we can remove the old duct assembly. Now before we install the new one, we'll want to vacuum up all this excess lint that's laying in there. Now as we install the new air duct assembly, you'll note that there are some standing tabs along the edge of that door opening, both along the bottom and both sides. And those are the actual friction points that grasp that steel protruded edge around the door. And these are the two little tabs that are on the sides that we need to get in underneath the edge of the front panel. And once we've got those under there, we'll push the leading edge up till it meets the top bearing assembly. We'll do that on both sides. And then we'll just carefully press it firmly into position. And when it's properly positioned, it will give an audible snap as it's fully seated Again, we'll make sure we have our switch cover tab located properly. And while we have that assembly off, you should inspect the top bearing assembly to make sure that they are in good shape. If they show any signs of wear, that part should be replaced at the same time. Now we're ready to reinstall the front panel assembly. Now before we reinstall that front panel, well, first of all, I want to vacuum any of the excess lint that's in that opening, and then we're going to reconnect the wire harness to the door switch. So using our needle nose pliers, I'm going to reach in, line those terminals up, and make sure they fit snugly on the switch. Reconnect the inline connector. At this point, we're going to rotate that front panel into position. Be careful not to dislodge those wire terminals. And then we'll line up the slotted openings on the bottom with the tabs that protrude off of the mounting brackets. We'll tilt the panel into the dryer while we're lift up in the drum so that it clears the front bearing. Hold that in position. Then we'll install the 2 Phillips screws. Now we'll install the top panel, and again we need to locate these 3 openings, the 3 tabs on the back guard, as well as we need to tuck the lip of that top panel under both sides of that. So it's a little bit of a trick to do that. Make sure we have a nice tight seam along the back and that it's hooked on both sides. And then we'll replace the 2 screws inside the door opening. Now when installing the 2 screws for the top panel, we need to make sure that they go straight up through the opening and that they engage the screw hole in the main top. And then we tighten them securely so we don't have any squeaks. And now we're ready to reconnect the power, and your repair is complete.